the phone I've been rocking for about a month is the OnePlus Nord, the 12256 variant, absolutely bonkers when it comes to RAM and storage, but I've been loving my experience with this phone so far. Oxygen OS just perfectly masks away the fact that inside the Nord is a mid-range processor and not something like a Snapdragon 865. Anyways, as for what's literally on my phone, I'm alternating between the official sandstone case or just rocking it naked. I like the heft that the OnePlus Nord has and honestly do not mind using it without a case. I do have a pretty whack tempered glass installed on the front, but I'll probably get rid of it in a couple of weeks once the feeling of having a new phone wears down a bit. So this is it. This is my simple 2-page setup that has largely remained almost indistinguishable for the past 3 years or so. The launcher remains to be the stock Oxygen OS one, and that offers me all the customization I need. Let's talk about the wallpaper, which has been changing almost every week thanks to this really amazing app I found called Wally. It has some of the best moody wallpapers I've seen in a while, and the user experience is an added bonus. So back to my home screen, and here are my basic social media apps. We have WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I've been spending most of my time on Twitter and Instagram lately, Instagram primarily for browsing through memes and sharing them with friends, and Twitter for interacting with other fellow creators and posting some behind the scenes. I'm 100% more active on these than I am on YouTube, so if you want to leave me a follow, that would be amazing. I've almost stopped using Snapchat, almost to the brink of uninstalling it, but I just don't want the guilt of breaking 900+ day streaks with my friends. Ending the first row of apps is the really terrible YouTube Studio app. Hate to use it, but at the same time have to. In the second row, I have the wonderful OnePlus Gallery app, Gmail, YouTube, and Y Music. Now, Y Music is supposed to be a free pirated version of YouTube Music, but I almost never use it for that purpose, seeing as how I have Spotify in my dock. I use Y Music to pretty much listen to songs in the background, and while I also have YouTube Premium, I just feel this is a setup that I have gotten accustomed to. Speaking of music, I have Spotify sandwiched between all of these boring apps, and I switched back to Spotify from YouTube Music because I just couldn't stand the confusing audio library that YouTube has. Swiping over reveals a slightly different setup from my older ones in that I just added an extra row of apps. At the top, I have this Todoist widget that shows me all of my pending and upcoming work that keeps my workflow well flowing. Below that, we have Google Photos, which remains to be the most underrated app of all time. Seriously, this thing has been with me ever since it was first released and has all the photos I've ever clicked on all of my phones ever. I do depend on Keep Notes for ideas and other noteworthy stuff that aren't direct tasks that go into the Todoist widget at the top. Pocket Casts is my podcast app of choice, and although I don't regularly listen to podcasts, my current favorites are MKBHD's Waveform and Sarah Dietschy's That Creative Life. The top row of apps is actually really fresh, something I only added a couple of days ago, and I guess all of these could be classified as productivity related ones. I could just use a folder for all of these and replace the Google Maps app at the bottom, which has become obsolete, but a singular folder on my entire 2-page setup would hurt my OCD a bit too much. I've been trying to exercise and eat healthily and game less, and for that the 7 Habits app seems to be working great, but you can probably see that I'm definitely not gaming any less. Next to that is Healthify Me, and I've just started tracking the food and the calories that I've been eating lately. Mobilz is my current finance app of choice since I just cannot find that one perfect money managing app. It still has its drawbacks like not having automatic backups in the free version, but it has all of the basics I need. Chrome Remote Desktop is an app that I've been using a ton. Most of the time when I'm done editing a video, I just hit render and hop onto my bed with my phone, and now I can easily access my desktop using this app to upload the file onto YouTube once it's done rendering. That's just one use case scenario obviously, but the convenience of having remote access is honestly godsend. Ending this row of apps is Boosted, which is basically a time tracking app that I've been using to keep track of how many hours I've spent blogging, making videos, or even gaming. That is pretty much everything that's on my 2 home screens, and these are the apps that constitute like 90% of my phone's usage. I do have the Google feed to the far left of my home screen to read some quick news. My app drawer has a bunch of apps, and I do use most of them at least once a week. You can also probably notice that I have a few games installed for the first time in years, but no, I just installed them and maybe played a couple of them for like 5 minutes before I got really bored. Now there are a couple of apps that I would like to talk about that aren't on my home screen. You must have noticed the little ring around the notch. This is basically a battery bar from the app Energy Ring. I almost never use it to actually see how much battery I have left since I have that literally written to the top right of my screen, but I've tweaked the color to match the deep pink accent that I have everywhere else. Pretty sweet. Another app shoutout that I'd like to give is Oxygen Updater. This is pretty much going to be every OnePlus user's best friend since it provides you with all the latest updates, bypassing the rollout phases that usually take days or even weeks to reach all the phones worldwide. I really dig the user interface too. This is just a must-have app for all OnePlus users who are even remotely interested in being always up to date. That's pretty much everything that's on my phone in the form of apps and utilities. There are a couple of tweaks that I've made with my OnePlus Nord, like speeding up the animations by 0.5 times so that everything feels faster, and forcing my display to 90Hz at all times using an ADB command. I've made an entire video talking about the best tweaks you can do with the OnePlus Nord and other OnePlus phones in general that I recommend watching. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.